Good evening, book lovers. Welcome to another episode of Cath-Lit Live. I am your host, Amy Cattapan. You can find me everywhere on social media under the name that my children's books are under, AJ Cattapan. I have a brand new guest. This is my first time ever talking to her. I've talked to her, or I've commented and followed her on Instagram for a while, but this is my first time really getting to talk with her, and I really love her book topic. So I'm very excited to bring you tonight Laura Kelly Fanucci. So if you are not familiar with Laura, she is an author, a speaker, and the founder of Mothering Spirit, where she first started writing about parenting and spirituality in 2010. She has authored 7 books, including Everyday Sacrament, The Messy Grace of Parenting, and Grieving Together, A Couple's Journey Through Miscarriage. Fanucci earned a bachelor's degree in French and art history from the University of Notre Dame and a Master of Divinity degree from St. John's School of Theology and Seminary. Her work has been featured on the Hallow and Ritual apps and on popular programs such as NPR's Morning Edition, On Being, and The Kelly Clarkson Show. I think she may be my first guest who's been had her work on The Kelly Clarkson Show. She writes for numerous publications, including OSV News, Give Us the Day, and Encourage. Fanucci also writes essays on Substack at The Holy Labor and humorous reflections on surviving cancer at Not a Caring Bridge, but a Compassion Brigade. She and her husband live in Minnesota with their children, so please help me welcome to the show, Laura Kelly Fanucci. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome to Cath-Lit Live.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. I've followed you on Instagram for a long time, so it's great that we get to talk in person. And we're talking today about your new book from Ave Maria Press. There we both have it.
I love it.
Yeah. Tell us about this book. What's our little 30-second elevator pitch?
Yeah, Living Easter, 50 Days to Practice Resurrection. It's a guide through the Easter season. So, for every one of the 50 days of Easter, it has scripture, reflections I wrote, prayers, and then creative ways to live out the Easter season. So, it goes through all the resurrection stories in the gospel. You'll get all of them if you pray with us through the 50 days. And then it also has deeper dives into some of the key figures of scripture, like Mary and Peter and Thomas and Mary Magdalene. Just there's such incredible guides for us through the Easter season. So I really wanted to put like a ready-made guide in someone's hands to be able to pray all the way through 50 days of Easter.
I love it. I love that you're talking about the Easter season, because I think a lot of people think of it as just like a day. And I feel like, even Christmas, people are kind of like, often they'll go through Christmas and not go through the whole season of Christmas. And there's lots of prayer guides for Advent, and there's lots of prayer guides for Lent. I don't feel like there's a lot for Easter. This is one of those lesser celebrated, if we can, seasons of the liturgical year. I even remember, I don't remember how old I was, but I remember a teacher saying, Easter is really like a bigger holiday than Christmas. And we were all like, what? Oh, so
It's not what kids think, They're like,
one Easter basket versus multiple presents?
yeah, come on.
Why do you think Easter is under celebrated?
That's such a good question. And it is ironic because we have 40 days of Lent that we really focus on, and we have these very concrete practices of prayer and fasting and almsgiving. And the whole point of Lent is to prepare us for Easter, right? So you'd think, okay, now we have 50 days of rejoicing. Now this is the whole point. And actually, I think most of us we really live it up on Easter Sunday. Maybe Divine Mercy Sunday, maybe those first few days, we're still full of all the joy. And then, like, the world takes over with bad news and our old lives come back into play. And I think it's really hard to feast. I think we think it's easy to rejoice, but actually to keep joy and hope alive in our hearts, let alone in our day-to-day activities and practices, is a lot harder than it looks. And I've thought about this a lot. And I think the fact that we have these 3 practices of Lent that we all know and we learn them as children and we can rattle them off, we don't really have the same thing for Easter. We can think about, okay, maybe prayer and feasting. And I like to think of like maybe still giving alms because we always have to care for the poor, but also like receiving whatever graces God's waiting to give. But I think it's a little harder to get as concrete about what to do in Easter, which is why I wanted to write this book. I felt like I took it on as a challenge because I was like, I don't know how to do this for 50 days. And so to really think about what are little practices you could do every day to remind you of the whole purpose of this season and to keep thinking about Jesus's resurrection and to think about the hope and the joy that we get through Easter. Yeah, I think that it is a lot harder to rejoice than we might realize. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you wrote it as a challenge for yourself because I like to say I've written both fiction and nonfiction. And in the fiction circles, people will say often, write the book you want to read. And I feel like with my nonfiction, I'm writing the book I need to read. Like I needed a book
Yes.
about combating teacher burnout. So I wrote a book about combating teacher burnout.
Exactly.
So
Yes,
we
someone
kind
was
of did that.
asking me, yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you must be really type A and really organized with Easter. I'm like, no, the opposite. Like, I needed this. I needed
Yeah.
to crack open a book every day and think like, oh, yeah, actually, that would be a good idea for that day because, yeah, I have a really full life as we all do. And so to think about how do you keep
Mhm.
Easter before your eyes always? And I think the beauty of all, the Advent and the Lent books that we have is that they help us do that. We're kind of trained in it for those
Yeah.
seasons of preparation. But yeah, it's a little bit harder when we have to actually celebrate for 50 days.
So, in the book, you describe joy as resurrection practice. So, what does that mean to practice joy, especially when life is difficult? We know there's a lot going on in the world, in our own
Yeah.
towns and around the world.
Yeah.
How do we do that? How do we become those Easter people that John Paul II was talking about, right?
I think we have to remember the difference between happiness and joy.
Mm,
Because happiness, I mean, is sort of that, it's more of that surface. How am I feeling? Am I feeling
yeah.
good? Am I tired or hungry or cranky or, people are just getting on my nerves today? I might not be happy. But I think joy is this deeper, it's a choice. It's a decision. Henry Nouwen has this beautiful line about how we have to choose joy and keep choosing it. And it always reminds me, I sometimes literally picture joy as like one of those aquifers that's deep under the earth. There can be so many
Mm,
things that are disrupting our lives up here on the surface. But I think joy is this decision and this reminder to say, okay, if we believe that God is real, if we believe Jesus is risen and Christ is living among us, then we get to tap into this deeper joy of saying, goodness is real, hope is real. We might not be happy. A whole lot of people in human history haven't been happy at all. I mean, you look at the saints' lives and they're
yeah.
full of suffering, but they had a deeper joy that came from knowing God and trusting God and believing in more than what this world has to offer us. So I think that joy actually can be a practice. And I don't mean that in like, a Pollyanna, like just smile and go through your
Yeah.
day and you'll be happy. But to say, you know what, if I remember who I am and whose I am, then even when, life gets really hard or just a day gets difficult, I can still make the decision to live out of the deeper joy that I believe in, that I know is true. And I think in that way, the more that we start to make that decision to remember that joy can be a choice and it can be a practice that we develop, that we hone over time, I think the stronger our awareness gets of the graces that God's giving us and the joy that is available to us. And yeah, I think it's one of those, there are so many stories of the saints where you think, how did this person,
Right.
go to their death singing with Jesus' name on their lips? They were tapped into a totally different reality. They knew a deeper joy than just whatever, the happiness was on the surface. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a really important way to think about joy
I love that.
as a practice. Yeah.
You just reminded me of one of my mom's favorite saints, Saint Cecilia, who was literally singing as they were trying to
Yeah.
chop her head off.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That defies earthly logic.
Yeah,
Like there's a deeper, deeper divine joy going on there. Absolutely.
absolutely. All right, now I'm blessed to have these interviews shared on CatholicMom.com. So I know there's going to be a bunch of moms who watch this interview. How can they, with their families, their children, use this book to celebrate the season together?
Yeah. So I have 5 kids. I have 5 sons. And so I wanted to write this at a level that was for adults, but that families could use together, that there wouldn't be anything like inappropriate or scary or anything like that that would make it a book you couldn't have, around kids. And can I confess to you that this is the one book that when my kids have been picking it up, they're like, interested in. Like I have
Oh,
written a number
wow.
of books and they're sort of like, I think the colors are charming, but
Yeah.
also the daily practices
Mm,
as I was writing it and sharing with them, like they were really attracted to this idea of like, wait a minute, taking a walk could be something that we would do in
Yeah.
faith, like deciding, oh, to sing extra Alleluias or to wear white or to get up early and watch a sunrise. Like there was something really tangible about that I realized, oh, this is going to be a really fun book for families because yes, it's written for adults, but it could be something that everybody could participate in because, like I said, there's scripture, there's reflections that, would probably be more for an adult who's going to sit down and read for a minute or two. But those embodied practices of ways that we can creatively live out Easter every day, I think those are absolutely for all of us and kids included. So, yeah, but my kids may not know it, but they're about to go on an Easter journey with me every
Yes,
day.
yes. Okay. Well, I'm hoping you give us updates on Instagram periodically so we can see how this is going.
Absolutely.
All right. Speaking of, where can people find out more about you and your books?
Yes, my website is laurakellyfanucci.com. I'm on Instagram at This Messy Grace, and I write on Substack. It's called The Holy Labor. So if you search for Laura Kelly Fanucci or The Holy Labor, you will find me there for more of my writing and speaking. Yeah, and there's going to be a lot about Easter on Instagram. I can already tell you, I am ready for it. I mean, I got Lent still to go, but
Right.
I'm ready for it. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. Well, I'm looking forward to it too because I've done Lenten devotionals, I've done Advent devotionals. I don't think I've ever done an Easter devotional. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
Good. That's my hope. That's really, yeah. I think there's so much waiting for us in Easter. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it brings us.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking with me and sharing about your book.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was a joy.
All right. Thanks, Laura. Have a good night.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye. All right. Well, I'm so excited. I finally got to talk with her. Go ahead and check her out. Whenever you're watching this video, even if it ends up being a little bit after Easter started, you know what? That's okay. She's got the dates in here by like the week of Easter that you're on, so you can just pick up wherever you need to pick up and enjoy Easter, living it out liturgically. I love the idea of the act parts. I'll give you a quick little peek of what it looks like inside so you can see what she was talking about with the reflect, the pray, and then this is the act part. This is the part she was talking about, like that you could do with kids if you have kids at home with you. So thank you once again for watching another episode of Cath-Lit Live. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode when it airs. So until then, everybody, I'm just going to wish you happy reading.